everyone, Karen Glasser here, and welcome to Once Upon a Story Time. I am so glad that you joined us. We have a great story for you today, so let's jump right in and have some fun. We'd love to hear from you, so comment below, and you might just see your comment on the screen. So let's talk about today's author. Our author is Amazon Children's bestseller, Dawn Wynne, and she's going to read from her book, Earth Remembers When. She was recognized as Teacher of the Year and has more than 15 years experience teaching kindergarten through high school. The book, Earth Remembers When, the story that Dawn will read today, has earned the Reader's Favorite Silver Award and Living Now Award for Best Children's Picture Book. And one of the things that I really like about it is that it really empowers children to help the environment, which is perfect timing for Earth Day, which is right around the corner. And so without further ado, I welcome Dawn Wynne. Hi.
Hello.
I am delighted that you're here today. We have a great story. As I said, it's Earth Day just around the corner. What a perfect time, just a perfect time to be telling the story. And so we're not going to waste a whole lot of time right now. I want everyone to go get comfortable. Whoever brought you here, if it's your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, maybe it's your aunt or uncle or an older brother or sister, whoever they are, snuggle in with them because it's just about time for Dawn to tell her story. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Right. Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I am going to be sharing my book called Earth Remembers When with you. We're going to be talking about the environment. So I want all of you right now to close your eyes for a minute, and I want you to picture our Earth, and I want you to visualize what you see. So maybe you can look to the person that you're sitting with and tell them what comes to mind when you think about our planet Earth. So for some of you, it might be trees. Some of you might be thinking about the animals. Other might be thinking about plants. So just share that with someone next to you, and I bet as we read along with this story, you're going to find some of those elements that you thought about. So here we go. I remember when Earth was cherished, no reason to fear its perish, respected, loved, and conserved, our Earth's resources were preserved. So some of you were probably imagining some of these scenes, and this is our ideal Earth, what we hope that it always looks like. We have fresh water and clean air, animals that can freely roam and soar. We're going to journey now to our oceans. I remember when oceans were clean, no garbage or litter to be seen. Sea animals could freely float without confronting bottle tops that choke. So here is our ideal Earth, clean water. And one of the neat features of this book is that the flaps open out. And you will see that there's quite a difference. Not all areas of the Earth and our water are clean. In fact, some are really polluted like this. And there's tons of trash and garbage that we see in there. But we can all help. There's something that we can all do. And one of the things is by getting rid of some of our plastic, because a lot of that plastic winds up in the ocean. It falls out of trucks, garbage trucks that are going to the dumps, and it winds up in the ocean. So we could use reusable bags. Maybe some of you that are listening right now have your own bags that you take to the grocery store. Those are awesome things. So those trash bags don't wind up in the ocean. So that's something that we can all do on a daily basis. If you do use Ziploc bags, maybe you reuse them over and over again instead of just throwing those out in there. We're going to travel now to look at different parts of our environment. I remember when air was crisp and clear, no pollution or smog to fear, skies were brilliant and blue as clouds gently floated through. So here is another beautiful scene where we have crisp air, blue skies, but unfortunately, in some parts of our world, the air is not too clean. We have a lot of air pollution that winds up harming a lot of people in there. One of the things that we can do that people don't realize is we can use rechargeable batteries. So they look just like normal batteries, but we can recharge and use them over and over and over again. That has 30 times less impact on our environment if we're able to reuse those batteries. So something to think about as we're doing a lot of this online ordering and ordering in now, throw some rechargeable batteries on your next list as you go through and see if you can start replacing some of those old batteries that have lots of chemicals with these rechargeable batteries. Oh, this is one of my favorites. We're going to look at the polar bears in there. I remember when polar bears had homes, no danger or fear to roam. Icebergs were plentiful and many, but soon there may not be any. Most of our polar bears don't live to be 5 years old. And for some of you, you may know a term called global warming. And that's what's happening is as our planet is heating up, these polar bears are losing their homes. They don't have icebergs to live on, and their hunting season is shortened in there. So there's a really neat tip that we can do, and that is to unplug anything that's not being used. That saves not only 10% of your electricity bill, but 10% of the overall electricity that's being used in there. So kids, I'm going to give some of you a homework. If you can be a little detective and go around your house and find anything that's plugged in that's not being used. So if you have a charger, but your phone or your tablet is not charged, or you have a coffee pot that's on, maybe a hairdryer that's plugged in, even if it's not turned on, it's still drawing electricity. I always like to use the analogy of a television or the computer that's right here. If I put my hand in front of it, it feels warm. It's heating up a little bit. And that's what's going on in our environment with all the technology that we have. It's causing our earth to heat up a little bit at a time and get warmer and warmer. But if we unplug those things that are not being used, we're making a little contribution in our environment. Well, we're going to look over here at Mount Kilimanjaro, another place that's being affected by global warming. I remember when Mount Kilimanjaro had snow. No global warming, did we know? Snow-capped mountains were grand and vast and now merely a sign of the past. So most of this ice has disappeared from Mount Kilimanjaro, and they say within the next 20 years, all of that ice is going to be gone. And so if there's no ice, there's no water, and those animals can't live in there. So a little tip, something that we can all do is that we can buy fresh food instead of frozen food. There's so many great resources right now with places that are delivering produce boxes for that fresh food. A lot of restaurants now have these produce boxes that we can use. Maybe some of you at home are planting gardens. Great way to have fresh food, because when we have frozen food, you have to pack it. It goes to a factory. We saw that pollution scene where there's pollution going off. And so it requires a little more energy being produced. So that fresh food is also just really healthy for us, and it helps when it comes to our environment in there. One of the things that's really fun about this feature is there's a little hidden earth. So for those of you that have the book, can follow along, but there's a little hidden earth that you can find that you can have fun searching through on all of these pages as well. Okay, we're going to go over to our rainforests because there's a lot going on with our rainforests. I remember when forests covered the world, no axes or chainsaws were hurled. Trees majestic and grand, now torn down, very few stand. So many of our rainforests are being destroyed. And there's an interesting fact. Maybe some of you can guess why we're cutting down so many rainforests. I'll give you a hint. We're not destroying rainforests for paper products, for trees. We're not cutting down those forests for homes or wood. It might surprise you. We're actually cutting these forests down for cattle farms, for the food that we eat. So there's a little tip that we can do is if we eliminate one meat meal per week, if you can, two is even better. If you can eliminate 2 meat meals per week, that's like taking 1 million cars off the road. So a lot of you may already do meatless Mondays. You can do tacos, you can do veggie pizzas, little burritos filled with beans and rice. If we all did that like twice a week, it'd be like taking 1 million cars off the road. So I'm thinking about all these people that are listening right here. Think of the hundreds of millions, billions of cars that we can take off the road by just having a little less meat every week. We're going to journey back to the oceans now. I live in California, and so this is a really big part of our environment. We're going to talk about the Hawaiian monk seals. I remember when seals had plenty to eat. No search for food was a feat. Free of hunters and fishing nets, fear of entanglement was not a threat. So the Hawaiian monk seals are endangered. There's probably less than 1,000 of these now. They get caught in fishing nets. So there's these big trawlers that go underneath the ocean to catch lots of fish. A lot of these times the trawlers fall off and animals get stuck in there. They get stuck in these nets in there. There's a great website called seafoodwatch.org. So any of you that go to the aquarium, museums, you'll find that. We can look for sustainable fish. So I know that's a big word, if we can all try to say that, sustainable. That means it's not in danger of running out. We can continue to eat those fish or harvest those types of fish, and it won't run out. So when you go to restaurants or you look at buying seafood, try to find something that's sustainably caught, and that will have a huge impact on our what's going on in our ocean and our seafood. Okay, we're going to look about our Native Americans. So if I have any third graders or fourth graders on there, I'm going to quiz your knowledge on this. I remember when resources came from the land, no landfills to construct or plan. Elements were recycled back to earth for another time to rebirth. So for all of you, my elementary school students in there, wonder if you remember what our Native Americans are known for. Kind of, if you look at the picture here, it might give you a hint. Well, I'll tell you, they used all of the resources. They didn't throw away any part. So if they killed a buffalo, they used their skins for their teepees, for their homes. They would make clothing out of them. They would use the bones for tools. They used every single part. They didn't want to waste anything. Unfortunately, we tend to throw a lot of things away, right? Everything that we don't use kind of goes into our landfill. A lot of our landfills are filling up. That they're just closing down because they're so full in there. We throw away enough paper, forks, and spoons, and plastic cups to circle the earth 300 times. And that's just here in the United States. All those little utensils that we circle, that we use, can circle the United States 300 times. So some things that we can do, don't take those utensils. If you don't need them, if you're bringing food home, tell them that you don't need those utensils in there. Bring your own utensils. When we get to the point where we can start going back to restaurants again, if we can bring our own utensils, or we go back to school, some of you may know of a trash-free lunch. Make that a challenge today. Can I have a trash-free lunch where I use a cloth napkin and I use stainless steel utensils, that we don't use anything plastic or paper? So that might be a challenge that we can all strive for to do in there. Let's look at our farmlands. Let's see what's going on with the farms. I remember when food came from the ground, no artificial flavors to be found. Fruit and vegetables were real, boxes and cans not used for meal. So there was a time when we all made our own food, we grew it, and we would trade with each other, but now we just go to a store and we just buy things, or we go to fast food, which is yummy. I love fast food too, it's great. But there's over 6,000 chemicals used in fast food. And these are the chemicals that aren't necessarily good for us. So one of the things that we can do, again, is like buying that fresh food. We can go to farmers markets, have our produce boxes delivered, our own gardens that we can do, because then we know what's going in our food. We can also read those labels, looking for labels that have few ingredients, or ingredients that we can pronounce. I always say, if it's a long word that I can't pronounce, it's probably not something that I want to put in my body there. So let's kind of sum up everything that we looked at today. There. I remember when the future was bright, no goal or dream was out of sight. That future still remains if children take the world to reclaim. So let's all start now and all agree to take about one step, one action, one face. You all hold the power to make the world a better place. And I hope that we remember that there's so much power. A lot of times people say that it's not really going to make a difference. It does. Every little thing that we can do. So I'm going to challenge all of you out there today to see if there's one thing that you can do to help the environment. Whether you start your own little garden, whether you unplug something that's not being used, reuse the plastic. In the book, I have some recipes, healthy recipes, and even ideas that we can do to take, water bottles, activities that we can do with this plastic and crafts, to reuse it and give it new homes and new inventions. So that's my challenge for you today. With Earth Week coming up next week, let's see if we can all do one little thing to make the world a better place, because we are all in this together.